Hi, welcome to Grief Guide Ministries. This is Dr. Gayla, and we are about to enter a live phone call from women across America who've suffered losses of all kinds. You're sure to get good advice out of this. Join us. It's live, so you might hear all kinds of bumps and scrapes going on in the background, because it isn't some polished, smooth, professional thing, but these are the authentic lives of real women who've actually survived deep losses in their lives and have come forward in a healed position to share truth with you. Welcome.
Well, welcome to our podcast. This lesson is very important for everyone who hears this. Wherever you are in the world, you need to get a pen, paper, and take notes, because we are going to do an emergency checklist with you. Everyone who's on the call tonight has brought items to do a show and tell about their own personal emergency preparations. You know, in the day we live in, we really do need to think through some things. We've all seen some astronomical, catastrophic situations, such as fires that have swept through different states and different places in the world. Then, of course, there are hurricanes and typhoons that happen, and then floods that just, who can know next week what's going to happen with the weather, and you end up getting 15 inches dumped in your neighborhood, and then you've got a flood situation. And then there are people who live in the earthquake zones that need to prepare some sort of supplies and provisions. Then there's tornadoes, which often you can't prepare for. But if a tornado hits, what do you have in the aftermath to take care of yourself or your pets, or maybe someone who's living with you or your children? And then there's tsunamis that we don't often see on our part of the world, but they do around the world. These things do happen. Then there's power outages. For some unknown reason, the electricity goes off and it's off for 2 or 3 days at a time. Or maybe you're traveling and you get caught out in a blizzard, or you get shut in your house in a blizzard. There's a variety of weather anticipated situations that we need to have preparations in place, because these things are just not going away. So instead of just worrying ourselves about them and stressing over these different weather challenges, isn't it wiser and smarter to prepare as much as possible? So this lesson is all about how to be prepared just in case. And I want to welcome everybody who's on the call with me. And I know what you brought to share is going to be wisdom for so many, many others, what to set aside or purchase, or even start a list and begin to slowly gather items for yourself. This is going to be your emergency checklist, and one you will want to listen to again and again on the podcast, so that you can be reminded of the things. Oh, yes, I forgot. I got to get that. I need to do this. So let me ask you this question as we start. Do you have a bug out bag ready? Have you ever thought about that? Do you have something in place that in case you had to jump in your car and run, you've got something lined out? We're going to talk about all those things. So let's get started. Here are the subjects that we are going to address tonight. We're going to talk about groceries. What kind of foods? What should you have on hand to manage being without electricity or the ability to cook a meal, losing power in your fridge, and the food is slowly defrosting? How about water supplies? Should we have water supplies? What do you do in your house to keep water supplies? And number 2 is household supplies. What should one have on hand to clean up after a storm leaves a big mess behind? Supplies like buckets in hand, or stored extra garbage bags, or bleach. Do you have gloves that are heavy duty that you could use to pick up limbs that may be falling around, maybe rakes and shovels? We're going to talk about that. What about health and wellness? What do you mean health and wellness? Well, if you take medications for something, you need to have some extras on hand. or vitamins or minerals or first aid supplies, antiseptics, things that are over the counter medications, cough meds. You got any extras? We're going to talk about that. How about if you have a pet? What do you do to provide emergency care for your pet? Or seasonal necessities? Like, what would that be, a seasonal necessity? Well, it could mean if you live in the hot Texas sunshine, you need to think about mosquito spray and hats. You're walking outside, you're outside all day long trying to clean up. You certainly need to protect yourself from the sun. Things like that. Or if you're in a blizzard, what would you need in cold weather to protect yourself? And then there are special occasions. Now, I don't mean like birthdays, nothing like that. I'm talking about those special paper products that you need to have on hand, like your insurance, like your homeowner's issues, like who to contact in case of an emergency. That would be a special thing, wouldn't you think? And then hobbies and leisure. What would you have to do with your hands if you got stuck somewhere and you needed to stay busy because you were just being so stressed? What could you do to keep your heart and your mind steady during an emergency? And then the last one, but certainly not least, we're going to talk about emergency power supplies. What is that? Hang on, we're going to describe and explain all of these things to you. So, on the call tonight, I've got some women with me, some friends who have done some preparations, who've paid attention. You know, the best time to prepare is before a storm, but if you didn't prepare before it, when the storm is over, then you must not say, oh, good, that's over, let's move on. No, you need to pay careful attention. What did I need? What should I have on hand? And focus enough to make sure that becomes what you pay attention to put in your care so that you are protected for the next time something should hit. So let's start with the very first one, and that's talking about groceries and food and water. Somebody jump in and tell me what you do to take care of emergency food supplies.
I always keep water. Let me back up. I keep everything in the trunk of my car. I never know when emergency is going to happen. And, if my house blows down, that's not really going to be helpful to try and now look for my emergency supplies. So something to think about.
So what kind of food do you keep in your trunk?
I have camping food. And this is vegetarian chili. It just happens that I have one, but I've got several different things. But it's vegetarian chili, and what's cool about it is it's flameless and it will heat without fire. So it's got a special little baggie inside that will heat the chili to have some food on hand, but it doesn't need to be refrigerated. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. It just needs to be protected. So, but camping food is excellent for emergency stock because you don't have to worry about refrigerating or it stashes really well. Camp food is the way to go.
And it heats up by itself.
Absolutely. It's what does it say here? Entrees, this kit contains 8-ounce entree, self-heating bag oven with flameless heater, and an activator, utensils, napkins, salt, and pepper.
Wow.
So, and like I said, I've got like 3 of these in my little tub, and I always change out water in my car, so I always have water there, more than enough to share, kind of thing. So as far as food goes, that's kind of a resource that I go to for stashing away in case of emergencies.
Okay, we're going to come back to you on that trunk of your car, and we're going to figure out what all is in your trunk. Dealing with food, thank you for jumping in because we need that kind of information. That camping food is a valuable resource in an emergency. Somebody else tell us, what are you doing for food?
I keep canned tuna. I keep canned chicken. I keep peanut butter, and even canned beans are a great source of protein, and they don't have to be heated up. My family always liked beanie weenies. I know that sounds weird, but
I like that stuff.
But make sure you have a manual can opener
Mm-hmm.
to get in those
Yeah,
cans,
pop-up.
because not all of them have pop tops.
Yes.
And I keep crackers, and I will grab a loaf of bread. Just to give you an idea, when we had that long evacuation for Rita, I had 2 aluminum pie pans and clothespins, and I had a frozen package of hot dogs in the freezer. And we had been on the road just to Livingston 22 hours to get there, and it takes less than 2.
So you're talking
And
Hurricane Rita.
yes, years ago, we were getting really hungry. So I got out my 2 aluminum pans, opened the hot dogs, put them in the pan, put the not paper clips, clothespins around it. My husband put them on the car manifold, closed the lid, and after a little while, he got out, took them off, and we made all of us, my daughter and son-in-law, a hot dog, and even the man that had been in front of us for hours, we knew he hadn't eaten, and we all had hot dogs, and those hot dogs were pretty good that day.
Awesome.
Wow.
So sometimes emergencies call for some serious business and some inventive and creative ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do you do if you're in your house and you don't have electricity?
How would I do it? I have an all electric kitchen, and we used to camp. And so I remembered I did not keep all of my camping equipment, but I have a camping stove. Recently, I went by a garage sale. It was a brand new camp stove that I got for $5 at a garage sale.
Wow.
So the Lord was looking out for me. I can just kind of briefly show it to you packed up. Can y'all see this?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's got 2
Yes.
burners, and here is the connector under here. It has all the instructions, and I can show you, this is the bottle of propane. You can get it one bottle, or Walmart sells them all hooked together for 4 bottles. And I do keep at least 6 bottles of propane on hand. But if I hooked it up tonight to show y'all, I would waste a whole bottle of propane. And so I was like, I'd like to show them, but I don't want to waste the propane because there's no way to reseal it.
Yeah.
But with this, you need to have matches. Make sure that you either have the matches or one of those, well, I had it next to me like you, my little match, electric match, so that you can light it, because it doesn't automatically come on. You hook your propane up to it, and that's how I cook if the power goes out. But just be careful not to get it close to anything where the flame will catch on to something.
Right.
I always have fruit, or even the little containers like Jello. They're in containers like with Jello, but they're you can get mixed fruit, you can get pineapple. I also do the tuna, but I get them in pouches because they're more individual servings. So I only have to worry about myself. And I always have crackers at home also.
So what would someone do that was a diabetic that cannot have a lot of sugary things, a lot of fruit? What would you do for that?
Rely on protein.
Maybe beef jerky.
Peanut butter.
Beef jerky's already dried, it's already packaged, and wise choice to have.
I also keep granola bars and stuff like that. Individual Pop-Tarts is something that you don't have to technically put them in the toaster.
Dry cereal is good for that too. There's a lot of dry cereal you can eat without milk, and they don't have sugar or anything on them.
Let's talk about water. What do you do for water storage? I know you're told that you need a gallon of water per person per day. There are solutions in storing water. Has anybody here done some of that?
I just got like already sealed gallons of water. I haven't tried with the drops of bleach or whatever. And I had a question too about like the bottled water in your trunk. Is it hard on water to get like hot
Oh,
with the
for me,
plastic or anything?
for me,
Yeah.
I go
'Cause
through it quite a bit. And what I didn't tell you is I keep a little, what's called a 6-pack cooler in my back seat. So my water goes through, it
Okay.
circulates through my cold cooler a lot faster. I
Okay.
keep a lot of those. So what happens is I will take half the case and half of it'll go in the freezer in prep. The other half will stay with me in the cooler, but I rotate them out so that the frozen bottles keep the other bottles cold, if that makes sense. So yeah, for this, like I said, they're frozen. So by the time in this Texas heat, by the time I'm ready to drink it, it's partially frozen where it was rock solid before. And the other ones come in at like alternate. If that, I'm trying to make sense of that, but they're in there together.
Let's talk about major water storage. Sometime back at one of the former hurricanes, since my husband passed away, I decided to do some research on water storage and how to keep it besides just bottled water. You can go through that real fast in a storm.
Mhm.
So I went online, began to look around, and discovered these 40-gallon containers that are actually used for military purposes for water storage for them. They're tall and slim, and they stand up and they have a handle. Now, I didn't bring one upstairs because it's downstairs loaded with water, but it's in a place that where I could just don't have to pick it up because water's very heavy, but just like tip it over and pour it into something when I needed it. And along with that container came these little bottles, these little tablets that you put in that keep the water fresh. Look that up, research that, get yourself several of those.
Sorry, they have them in the camping sections. So if you look for them, you'll find the water purifier tablets just for that.
Do they have the big containers?
What they have are collapsible containers. They're like 10, 15, 20 gallons, but they're collapsible
Yeah.
so you can store them real easy. But yes, they have containers.
Yeah, that's good. Good to know. Camping stores could be a great place to go shopping, huh?
Mhm.
And the other thing that I want to mention to you is, they tell you from time to time, fill your bathtub up with water when you know a crisis is coming. Now, I understand you can't always know when it's going to come, but if you know a hurricane's coming, a typhoon is coming, then you certainly can do something about that. So, but filling a bathtub with water is good just for a certain amount of time because you can use it to empty the toilet with it, scooping water out and pouring it in the tank. But, that's how do you keep that from being contaminated? And you can't dip washcloths in there to clean yourself off. And then how do you keep that water sterile as much as possible? Well, I discovered there's something called a water bladder. Look that up.
Mhm.
And it is a huge, like a plastic balloon kind of a thing, and it fits in the whole bathtub. And it has a little spout on it that hooks to your faucet. You fill that bladder up with this water, and then you can screw the top on it. And then it remains sealed. Your bathtub is full of water, yes. Very usable water, yes. And it can't be contaminated. Then when you need it, you unscrew the lid and there you've got water, but screw the lid back on. Very valuable thing to own. So I now have one upstairs and I have one in my downstairs. Both bathtubs have the ability to hold this water bladder. I highly recommend looking into that and seeing how it might be something that would give you peace of mind, because a water bottle is wonderful and great, and we need it all the time, especially if you're in a car and you're stuck in traffic and you can't get out of it and you're trying to get out of town. But if you're in your home, there are ways to store water that are valuable and should be looked into, because what if you couldn't leave your house? For safety reasons, you need to stay there. But there's no water there. You're under a boil water warning, whatever. But if you have made some preparations in advance, I think it would be very valuable and a useful tool to have. Water bladder. Anybody else want to add to this subject on food and water?
They also have a camping shower, and they're $10 or less. And it's what you fill up with water, hang it up in a tree if you're roughing it, and it's got a little spout that comes off of it, and you can just spray off. So if you've got this big barrel of water, you can pump this. It's also like a plastic bladder, but it's not nearly as big as yours. But you can fill these up and at least get a quick shower off. And Walmart carries those, any place that has camping gear, but it's just a camp shower.
Good to know. Good to know. You know, one time in Africa, when we were traveling, when we were young missionaries, the couple we were with, of course, there's no place to eat. There's no restrooms. There's nothing. We're just in the bush for hundreds of miles, just going across, camping at night. So one day we were all hungry. And so the missionary says, watch this. We're going to keep our eye on the road for a small bird. And sure enough, a quail ran across the road, and the missionary was very careful and hit that little quail. We pulled it inside. They happened to have tinfoil. He wrapped the whole thing in tinfoil, just like it was. And also, like you, put it in the radiator section of the car, under the hood of the car. And we drove on. When it started getting dark, he said, you know what? I bet you that bird's about ready to eat. And so he took it out, and sure enough, he just peeled back the skin, and there was dinner right there and then. So there's a variety of ways if you are in a serious emergency to take care of yourself, right? And that's what this lesson is all about. The real and the raw times in life when you got to do something that you may not normally would consider doing. Right? Okay, let's talk about household supplies. What should you have on hand? Say that you're trying to clean up after a storm, that it's left a huge mess behind. What do you have in your supplies right now? Should you have to get up in the morning and there's all kinds of stuff all over the ground and the yard and the road in front, and how would you deal with that? Tell us, what do you have?
I always have gloves available under my kitchen sink.
What kind of gloves?
I have several pairs. So I always, what I know that if I'm going to use them like not in the house, I do keep them in a baggie. So gardening gloves would help with that, to pick up limbs and trash and stuff like that. I also try and keep a bottle or two of bleach to wipe stuff down with.
Anybody have a wheelbarrow?
I have a wheelbarrow. I have a wagon. I have a small tractor because I live where there's trees. And we also have chains, ropes, things like that we might need if we can't get the chainsaw going. Then we can pull them out of the way because they'll block our driveway or our home or whatever. So we're very prepared for that.
Have a saw and a hammer and a chainsaw, possibly?
Yes. All the above, 2 or 3 of each.
Important things to have, yes. How about a pair of these?
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
those two.
Great pair.
You need rubber boots because if you're walking around in branches and stuff, you don't know what kind of little varmint is living there, and maybe a little snaky running through the grass or whatever, because all kinds of nature has been disrupted. These protect your feet completely from mud, from nails, animals, you name it. Everybody needs to own a pair of rubber boots. And if you're walking through water, you know, you don't want that kind of water on your skin. So get yourself, invest in a pair of rubber boots and just put them away, and then you'll have them if you should need them. The other thing I personally want to talk about is the kind of gloves that you have. And I brought one of my pair that I use. These have a plastic inner part where you actually touch it. And these are
PVC.
Yeah, these are made, the outside is like it's called a super fabric, and I think it has a little metal woven into it, but the inside, it cannot penetrate my hand in any way. These are invaluable. They're called Hex Armor. You see that? Hex Armor. Very valuable to own a pair like this. They're beyond gardening gloves because a gardening glove, your hand can still be pierced with a nail. And you're picking up broken glass. You don't want to pick that up with garden gloves. You want something like this that's actually going to protect you, or a pair of leather gloves. These things just get tucked away in a corner of my closet, and I have them if I should need them. And I have needed them. I've pulled them out from time to time and been so very grateful that I wasn't like sloshing through mud that only God knows what's in that mud in my legs and feet, but I actually had the covering on them that was a protective. Very helpful. So yes, maybe even get yourself a crowbar and put it away, because with a crowbar, you can do leverage. You can lift up things. There's easier ways to move things with just your back, but you can leverage things. All kinds of different things that we can find in a camping store, but also in a hardware store. They have things like that, like winch, if you had to pull something up. And so the other day, my handyman, he's working on my farm, still repairing it. And so he moved the whole side of the farm. He brought it back straight. And I said, how on earth did you do that? You're just one guy. He said, well, ma'am, you just need to own yourself a winch. You wrap it around a tree, and you start ratcheting back and back and back, and you're using that tree for leverage. He said, I didn't pick up nothing, but I did use my brain. That now, in a pinch, if I had to do that, I will never forget what he taught me. Yeah, look for a tree, walk by, and figure out how to shove that thing over. And he actually moved this gigantic log that was like parked in the middle of the farm. He moved it by doing that process. Well, that's a handy little tool to own, I would think. It'd be a good thing to have. So if you've got trees around your house or your neighborhood or your driveway, it bodes that we would pay attention to certain things as far as dealing with household supplies. We often think household means in the house, but if it's your house, it's the outside of the house too, to be considered what to do. If you know a big storm's coming, they often tell you, or you see people on television taping their windows. Why do they do that?
To keep the glass from shattering in the house.
Trying to keep it from being sucked in the house. If it goes out, that's okay, but don't suck it in the house. So variety of things. And, often when there's a storm here in our area, in America, if you're listening to this and you're not in America, I understand you may not have the same processes, but here the newscasters will often start talking about storm supplies and what to do in preparations. But sadly, most people don't pay a lick of attention to that at all. And so instead of us being able to be independent, we all become dependents for somebody else to take care of us. And it's the people who took care of business, who made preparations, they're the ones taking care of all the dependents. Well, I'd rather be on that side of the fence, wouldn't you? Yes. So household supplies are important. Let's talk about health and wellness. So what do you have in your place that you have prepared for health and wellness? Do you have extras? Is there something that you should mention here about it?
I have Band-Aids, those gauze that you wrap around the tape. I've got sinus medicine. I have cough medicine. I have Dayquil, NyQuil. I got scissors.
You have anything for bee stings?
Say that again.
You have anything for bee stings?
No,
That's something to put in your list.
I was told to use cigarette ashes. That's what my mother used when
Well,
she got
So you
stung.
get them.
those of us who don't smoke, that don't apply.
Don't have cigarette
There are
ashes.
things on the market that would be a really wise thing to have, or a calamine lotion. What if you had to pick up
Calamine.
stuff and you're digging around in poison ivy? You need things that can
Oh
help
yeah,
care.
yeah.
You know, my background is my husband was a firefighter. So we always had the first aid kit with all the bells and whistles, the burn creams, the all kinds of, different suture things, just everything you can imagine. Well, it expanded to the size of not counting the box of gloves, it can fit in one of those deep Rubbermaid 9x11s. That's the size of my kit, and it's got everything in it. I've got stuff to make a cast in it. I've got everything. You name it, I'm
Wow.
going into the medical profession. Oh, I know. The other thing is a thermal blanket. Those really thin thermal blankets, that's good to have in there. All the bells and whistles. If you can afford it, get the best kit you can buy.
Yeah, just have.
Okay.
It's like a little insurance, right?
Yeah, because
Right.
you never know until you open that up.
Any of you have this put aside? I know we've had to wear
Oh
this for a long
yeah.
time. Hand sanitizer. Do you have a bunch of this put away? What if you can't wash your hands because there's no water or pure water to use? If you got a whole bunch of hand sanitizer, it works in a pinch, right? And then, do you have any of these little wretched things? Mask.
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
To keep some on hand is part of your health and wellness because
Yeah.
you don't know, right?
Body wipes. So they make bodies specifically for washing your body, especially for traveling or whatever. But you may not have access to clean water, but you can still be clean.
Yes.
Valuable to have, yes.
Could I add one more thing before we go to pets? Just on health and wellness. This isn't supplies, but it's a emergency information that I carry and keep on my refrigerator. And it's tucked in there, and there's a whole thing on my medication, my contact for emergency, everything, so that if you had a fire or the firemen come over or you got hurt or just about anything, somebody knows your information all in one place so that they don't have to, look into that or try to find it. So this is a magnet, and then this information I can keep up to date, and I'll take it out. I continually update medication, and then this is a list, and it's all my personal information of who to contact, anything anybody would want to know about me, what diseases I have, if I'm a diabetic, just medical conditions, all of my allergies, insurance, everything is on here that about myself. They wouldn't have to go through my documents or purse or anything. It's right there. Because one time I did get hurt in the middle of the night, and it was just being hurt. But I would think in a hurricane, or if you're stuck, like you're in a tornado and you're in your room and there's debris in front of it, you can't get out. The dogs are looking for you and they know you're there and you're hurt. Somebody could find this and have all the information about you. So
Wow.
I think the fire departments had put this out at one time, and this was many years ago that I did this. Both my husband and I had one on the refrigerator, but I think it's a handy thing to have.
Yeah, it is very valuable. And her particular packet is red, and it has File of Life written in big white letters across the top of it. And it has a magnet on the back with a clear slip pocket that our information is inside. Valuable. My goodness, we all need to deal with that. Really
Yes.
Thank you very much for that.
I think I've even heard that people put theirs in the refrigerator because, like, if it was a tornado or something, then it would be in there, like it wouldn't get blown away or whatever. I don't know if it's in a little container or what.
You could probably have it a couple of places, would be good.
Mhm.
Yes. I also have a CPAP, which I know several people do. And I have extra supplies that I keep in my bag that it packs away in, just in case the hose was to split or my mask was to break. I keep extra supplies in my carry case if I have to evacuate.
Okay, let's talk about pet supplies. What do we want to do when it talks about owning a pet? There's a responsibility to take care of that animal who's also very stressed and could be very nervous and unhappy and scared about what's happening. So, how do you prepare emergency supplies for a pet?
I have this thing you wrap around it. That's the first thing you wrap it around it. It's supposed to keep them from being so stressed. Canned dog food. I've been stacking up on canned dog food along with my food. Plenty of water for them too.
You need to have their medical records all together and something you can get your hands on in case you have to evacuate, and all their medications in a place where you can grab them. I have a to-go bag for my dog. It has a leash, a collar with her name on it, besides the one she has on. It has a collapsible water bowl for her. And she also has a thermos bottle in case she needs cold water. We can put water in it. She has a gel pad, a cooling pad for her in case there's no air and it's hot, because she needs to stay cool too. There's one more thing in there and I can't think of what it is. Oh, bags to pick up poop and stuff like that. So that's what she has in her go bag. It has a German Shepherd on it, so we know what it's for.
Yeah. What about a pet carrier? Is that something good to keep in an emergency?
Yes.
Yes.
Be valuable.
They also need to be microchipped in case they get lost during the storm, that they can reconnect you with your pet.
Can find them again. Yeah. Let's talk about seasonal necessities. Now, this could be things that have to do with the time of the year that it is. So say like right now in Texas, it's 105 degrees, but the humidity is off the charts, dripping hot. I went outside last night and I could not believe, here it is like 8 o'clock at night. And it was just like drenched the minute you walked outside. The humidity was terrible last night. But what would you do in an emergency when you're dealing with terrible weather like that? It's so hot and so steamy and miserable, and you have to be outside a lot. What would you have to prepare yourself for that?
A hat, a scarf. Make sure you have a hand towel that hopefully you can get wet and put it on your neck.
Those
That's
are
all I
called
got.
cooling. Those are called cooling strips, and you actually do dip them in water and put them around your neck, and they will help you.
Well, I went to Dollar Tree and they had these little fans, and they are chargeable fans, and you plug them in to your phone charger and it will hold a charge for a little while, but you can get a little bit of air going on you.
Okay.
I have different sizes of these. I have about 6 of them that I have stuck back that can be charged. And then somebody gave me one that it's a little hand pump that you pump it up, and it just gives you just enough breeze on your face. And you can carry it with you, and it's got the little lever, and you just pump it up and down. And it gives you a little bit of a breeze.
Interesting. Yeah, I did buy a solar fan after this hurricane when I was out of power for 8 days. I did buy a solar operated fan that stores up energy. And it's
Yes.
about 2 feet wide, I guess. Pretty good size one. It's a metal one, sturdy, and it has a solar panel with it. So you put it over by the window, let it store up the energy, and then at night you've got some breeze blowing. I also have a little one like this that sits close to me. And the 2 nights that I did stay in my house with no power, it was like 95 degrees in the house. I put this as
Yes.
close to me as I could get. It has a little stand and just it's battery operated. That's also chargeable. And just
Yes.
put it right here as close to me as I could get it. And that made it bearable. At least it's blowing hot air, but it was blowing. That was helpful to me. And then I have come up with this one. And this is a 2-tiered little fan. It's bigger. It also is charged by a little charge cord. And then when you turn it on, it blows. And these, you can turn them different ways, up or down. Both of them are interchangeable. Valuable little thing. And it has different speeds on it. Get yourself one, something like this, because it can certainly sit on your vanity while you're trying to get dressed. It could sit where you're trying to read a book or whatever, and it's big enough to move some air around, but yet it's tall and slim. The fans sit on top of each other.
We get blizzards, so we have a propane fireplace. All you have to do is hit the little button, which it has batteries in it, so it that is from electricity with the button, but it does have batteries that we leave down there and don't put them in until like the lights go out, and then you can also make it get started. But that's helped us a lot. We have a generator, which I know you're not going to talk about that yet, but the propane fireplace has been amazing for us.
That's
Yeah.
going to help in the cold weather. Yeah, let's talk about cold emergency supplies. What do you have for that?
Again, I'm back in my car. I keep a space bagged blanket, full size bed blanket in a space bag. A change of clothes, cash in a wallet in there with, additional, like maybe extra cards or whatever, but cash. And then and because it's happened a time or two where you're out, you're in the storm, you're in the snow, and your car won't start, which is like the worst. And then the trucks can't get to you because where you are hasn't been plowed yet, or whatever the reasons. I have this. Basically, it's a jumper cable. It's a jumper. You can jump your car literally with this little thing right here. No bigger than, my palm, actually. It fits perfectly in my palm. It has a small, very short cables that come with it, but the black and red cables that hook into this charger. And then it comes with its recharge cord that you can, when your power comes back on, you can recharge it. It also has space on the bottom for USB cords. And this one in particular, I wore out already because I used it to charge my phones all the time. You're out and about and your phone's dying. Boop, I pop this out of the Centro console and use that as well. So I actually have 2 of these. I have one that I keep in the car, and then one I keep in my daily purse.
So
For
you
just
use
keeping
it
charge.
not just for charging your battery on your car,
Correct.
but you can use it to charge your phone.
Correct. and it's got multiple ports. You can use it to charge a phone or a tablet. So
Yeah.
that's super handy. This one stays in my car, stays. And then the other one I randomly take it with me because I've discovered that in Texas, power goes out a lot. So I have it for that too.
Yeah.
And then change of clothes, all my underwear, all my toiletries in a little, a men's, the men's, what do you call it? Grooming kit. I took all the grooming kit stuff out and put my own toiletries, spare personal under things, and all it fits in my backpack. A change of clothes, a spare set of shoes, all of this goes into my backpack that goes in the car. Oh, and this is my favorite. This is a headband flashlight. It's super important if you're trying to do something and holding a flashlight, and it's so awkward. And this is rechargeable too. You just put the UCB and recharge it, and it's got several different functions on it, and it's great. The light is incredible.
I would imagine if you lived somewhere where it got seriously cold, some of the little hand warmers would be good to put in
hand and feet. And that's what I was going to say too. I clean this out. I recheck, restock every season, every spring, every fall. And I'll go in and I'll change out heavy socks for light socks, my duck boots for sandals, or, sneakers, something else. But I change it out periodically so that I know everything's fresh, usable, charged, everything's ready to go for the new season.
I just have one for cold weather. Before all of this fancy stuff, we used to, in case you ran into a blizzard snowbank or something like that, and there wasn't a lot of help, and you had to stay there all night. We had like a smaller coffee can with a toilet paper, a roll of toilet paper in it, and a bottle of alcohol. And if you got where you had to have some kind of heat, you just pour the alcohol in the toilet paper and you light it, and it's like a little burner there for a while.
Oh.
So it's rudimentary emergency stuff.
That's a great idea.
It works. It works.
Yeah.
Could save your life, really.
Can I say, I don't know how this works here in Texas, but the thought process too, it's really important to think about where you're keeping your emergency supplies. Again, that's my California training, because in an earthquake, everything collapses. So where do you keep it? If your house has just collapsed. And a lot of times we keep everything right at the very, very front of the garage, so that if it does go flat, you're going to be able to at least know where it is, and it'll be fairly easy to get to. But that's something to consider, is where you're keeping your emergency supplies, because if they're spread out all over the place, it's kind of useless.
Let's talk about the category special occasion stuff. And we're talking about something other than a holiday, which would be the last thing you think about in a crisis situation, but dealing with special things. How about your papers? What would you do? What do you do to keep your personal papers intact and safe in a crisis?
I first of all put them in a baggie, and then I put them in like a little lockbox. And it's just a small one just to be able to have in that. But first off, I want them to be waterproof. And in my baggie, I've got my passport, my things that I wouldn't really need, but it's good identification. Even a birth certificate. And, anything that I would need that's important, that has my personal information to get a hold of somebody. I keep it in a baggie first to keep it dry, and then put it in a little lockbox.
I did this actually years ago. I need to update it, but I don't have it in front of me. They make a strip where it was like $99 at the time, and you can feed anything through there, whether it's documents or pictures, and it goes on a SD card. And there you can put like 200 on this little card this big. And then I got a little folder. I marked what it was. I put the SD card in it. I have a whole little photo album that's small with SD cards in there with every important document, whether it's a marriage certificate or, the same documents that she was talking about. But I also have pictures, because if your house burned down, I have boxes and boxes of pictures. So I took important pictures, especially of the loved ones that I've lost, and I put it on an SD card. So I have them in a safe. So there's a duplicate. I still haven't been able to throw the pictures away, but I do have them as a duplicate. So if anything did happen to the house, whether it's a hurricane or a tornado or anything, I'm hoping that the safe would hold them. And it's supposed to be weather friendly, my safe. So that's just an idea to do. And I'm sure they even make them nowadays. It's not on the computer. It's a self-standing. It's just a little strip that you feed everything through, and it goes right on an SD card. It's real simple.
It's letter size, and it's a fire safe. It's a fabric flame retardant fire safe that basically, I would say this is probably a standard business size briefcase, but it's fire retardant. It Velcros, then it zips. It's got I've got all my documents in here, everything. And then it comes with another inner pouch that's also fireproofed. I don't know if you can see that.
Yes.
But it's also fireproofed, and I keep my passport, some valuable jewelry is in here, that kind of thing. But it's easy to grab and go. And then I also have copied everything that I have is copied into I don't have my bank safe right now because I haven't gone to the bank since I've been here to do that. But I have one of my children has a copy of everything. So I know that in another location, I have all my documents safe and not anywhere near here where it can be damaged.
Right. Smart. What is the name on that bag you just showed us?
This is Homier, Homiar.
Let's talk about your nerves. Say, you've got to deal with how I'm feeling. I'm staying with friends, and I'm just kind of nervous, and I don't know what to do with myself, and yet I got to be here for several days. And so what would you do with your hands? You can't take, obviously, all kinds of stuff with you that you would normally use for hobbies or leisure, but what would you do?
I have a crochet bag, and it just holds a couple of skeins of yarn. I carry a book. It'll fit down in there. A puzzle book will fit down in there. Basically, it just occupies me.
You would definitely want to take with you in your bug out bag, so to speak, or your backpack, and that would be your Bible.
Absolutely.
Because your Bible is what's going to stabilize you if all hell breaks loose, right?
Yes.
You need his word with you wherever you go. There have been many times I've lived through war and been very afraid, but I would open my Bible and just lay it open on my chest and sleep with it wide open like that, because it was giving me peace in a tumultuous time. So I cannot overemphasize, if you're going to grab one thing, grab your Bible. Grab your Bible. Okay, let's talk about the last one. We're going to try to wrap it up here, but this one is a big one, and we definitely want to talk about your supply of emergency power and how you maintain the normalcy of things you need to keep charged up and to keep you going forward in spite of what's happening around you. So let's talk about it. What do you have in place to help you maintain normalcy?
I have both solar and I've got battery powered. I found this solar powered lantern, and it's also a radio. And it will sit in my window if I need to recharge it. And it just faces outward, and I just let it charge up solar wise. But then I also keep just regular lanterns with batteries, and I always keep plenty of batteries for the things that I need. I have a solar flashlight, which does the same thing as the big one, but it's handheld. And at the same time, I found the neatest thing at a Dollar Tree that is a lantern. It also has a narrow light, and it was a Dollar Tree that it takes AA batteries, and it puts a lot of light in the room.
Something about the batteries, somebody had told me, because I have the same thing. I have these little lanterns, and this was Amazon, and you just bring it up and it lights the whole room. I have one in every room in my house. So this is real quick. Like I was sitting 2 weeks ago and the power just went out, and I have this right where I'm at, where I sit in the evening, but the batteries are on the bottom. It unscrews, and they're 3 AA batteries, but I take them out and I set them in this little container beside it so that I can pop the batteries in. They last longer if they're not in the actual lantern. So I have that. I have, while I'm talking, I'll go ahead with, this is my little battery pack for my phone. It's purple, which is fun to buy, but it has the USB and the container, and it's showing 100%. So I keep this, and this is my little hookup to the electric, so that if I know this is always charged, and I've had this now since the last time we had power outage, which was weeks ago, and it's kept 100% every single day. It doesn't lose its charge, and it's very portable and small. So I have 2 of those. I also have the weather radio, which is just a little radio that, because you can't depend on your phone all the time for connections with the cell towers. So this is a weather FM AM tuning system radio, so that you can always know what the weather is.
This, I went and bought a new one so I would have the package. But this, you just, can be your light bulb in your lamp, whatever, all the time. But it charges, and then if the lights go out, the power, it'll stay on for like 3.5 hours. That way, it's just there already in your lamp. This was, they've gone up some. This was at my little town hardware store, so it was like $21 after tax. But I have like 3 different ones. So if you wanted to, you could just only have one on, and then you'd have like 12 hours of light anyway. Because to me, it seems like light is one of the most important things, because if we don't have light, we're afraid sometimes,
Okay, so how does that charge?
It just stays in your lamp. It charges just being in there, like when it's turned on.
So it's not solar powered. It's
just from your electricity. It has to be in there for a certain amount of time for it to get charged up the first time. Maybe I can read that on.
I will own some of those.
I love it. It's amazing.
What is the brand name of them?
This is just called LED IntelliBulb, but you probably can find cheaper at like a bigger kind of a hardware store. It just says battery backup, reliable, rechargeable, emergency lighting. Did you guys find out what happened to your generators when they don't work?
Well, it's a little relay switch that is a default from the whole company.
Well, we just got
thousands of them out right now. Thousands. Yeah. And so they came to fix mine, which, I didn't really pay any attention to extra supplies because, you have a generator. It's going to be okay. Yeah, right. So then when the generator fails, then you're stuck, which is why one reason we're having this call tonight is because we're going to be prepared. This is not going to happen no more if I can help it. So when the repairman came to repair it, he brought the part that he thought was right, but my generator was newer than he thought it was. So the part doesn't work. So now we're back to square one again. Hopefully we will not lose power before he gets that thing back on, but I'm not concerned now. I am going to show you something that I have gotten my hands on. And I got my hands on this in kind of an amazing way. You know, my late husband just had a birthday. And always on his birthday, I make a big deal out of it. I know he's in glory, he's in heaven, but I still want to honor him. So it's not like a wishing he was here kind of a thing. It's how can I honor him, the one who's in glory? So I try to do special things and go eat his big meal that he always enjoyed, make his special dessert, and I enjoy it. But this year was very different for me. I woke up on his birthday and had the strongest impression. And I am not a technical kind of person, okay? But I had the strongest impression that I needed to look up backup battery powered power stations and figure out how to get one. I never even thought of that before. And I had the strongest impression this is what I should do for his birthday. So I decided to go look around. I went online and looked, and at a certain hardware store, they supposedly carried the one I thought would be a good one. And so I went there, and of course they were sold out, had sold out the day before the hurricane. Well, I didn't know anything about these little systems. So he said, well, it'll probably be a month or so before we get some in, but just keep coming around checking. Well, I didn't do that because when I got home, I still felt the strongest impression. Don't wait, get one. Look around. So I did. I started researching, which is something he would have done. Researched, read every forum. He would have read all the reviews on all kinds of stuff. And I discovered the one I was going to get was not the best one. But there was actually another brand that was actually the best one. And so I managed to get my hands on it. And it's this. This is a portable power station. It's a Bluetti. Bluetti is the brand name. And this one is a EB55. That's what this is. And I'm going to show it to you. And I just kept feeling urged that whole day, get your hands on this. Don't quit. Keep looking. Keep searching. And so I did. From a miraculous reason, I did all the research. I figured out what was good about this particular brand. It's because it has the greatest and the latest battery system in it. It's basically lifelong. The other one I was going to get only had a lifespan of 8 years. And then you had to buy another whole system. So thank God I didn't get that one. But this is the one that I ended up with, and I'm going to show you this. This is what it looks like. It weighs 17 pounds. It's a little machine that's square or rectangle, and it has a handle on the top. And what it is a power source for all kinds of equipment, all kinds of things. I'm going to turn it so I could read it. It comes with, this is called a brick. And this is the little transformer that it gets plugged into. Plugs into the wall to charge it. And this plugs into the machine. It's very simple. There's one place to plug it in. So this has a DC output in it, which you can plug in 12-volt things. And then it has a cigarette lighter place to plug in too. Raise it up again so you can see it on camera. Right there. Okay, but that stays sealed. Otherwise, this, it says input. That's where you plug it in, right here. And you plug it in the wall and it will suddenly begin to charge. And it has, each little section can light up by itself so that you can see where you're at. This is the battery. This is how much battery I have right now because I have charged my computer on it. I've charged my cell phone on it because I wanted to see how does this actually work. And it's very self-explanatory. This is not a difficult thing. But the valuable thing about this is not only does it have the USB cords, it has the USB-C, which is the new one too, that you can't always find. And then it has 4 outlets right here. You can plug regular electrical things in right here. This will run a CPAP machine by itself, and a fan, and a lamp, and you can watch movies off of this by plugging in right here. 8 hours worth. Incredible little machine. So this is a power bank, a power station, kind of like a mobile generator, so to speak. So if you were going to stay in one room and try to keep cool and sleep at night, and you had medical equipment, this would be what you'd want. So it comes with the brick, and then it also comes with, which I went ahead and bought, which the solar panel. So I can charge this either with electricity if I have electricity, or I can charge it by a solar panel. So if I didn't have power and my station was running low, I could plug it into my solar panel and charge it that way. And this is the cords for that. And then here's the cigarette lighter cord too, that charge it that way as well. A valuable little piece of equipment, very simply laid out, easy to use. And to me, the investment of this was $3.99 versus a whole house generator in an emergency. This also will run a refrigerator, small one, but it will run one for a night. So I wanted you to see this so you would understand this is what I've been talking about, and I did get my hands on it. And it was because I kept feeling impressed that my husband wanted me to get this. I don't know. I can't explain that at all. And I've never had a technical mind to understand this stuff. Never cared about it before. But that's the truth. So this is what I got for his birthday. Am I glad? Yeah, I'm glad.
Yeah, your husband was brilliant. He was a brilliant man.
Well,
I'm serious.
somehow, I don't understand it. Somehow, like I said, it's a little bit of an investment, but to me, it was worth it. The last thing I want to bring up about technical stuff, and this one's real technical, y'all. This is really high tech. And it's one of these. You know what that is?
Mhm.
This is a little thermometer that you put in your refrigerator or your freezer. Why do you want to do this? Because this will help you to start seeing how low it's dropping if you run out of power. You can immediately tell how long things can stay frozen for you. Not only that, when it comes back on, you need to see how long the fridge is going to take to cool back down and get back normal, or if it does get back normal. The safety of your health is imperative that you make sure that you don't eat spoiled food, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes we throw away stuff that maybe it wasn't, but we had no way to know. We didn't know. This is a cheap fix for that. They come in a pack of 4. Got them on Amazon. Super easy to get your hands on it. And so now I just keep them in my fridge and my freezer, and then I have them.
Someone said to unplug your refrigerator so that when the power came back on, it didn't blow things up or something or surge.
Yes, that you should go through your house and unplug all your electronics.
Right.
Because when it does come on, can be a surge that can absolutely destroy these delicate electronical things that we now live with and are so dependent on. And then you forget you unplugged it and got to go back. What is this not working? Well, it's not plugged in.
Do you not use surge protectors?
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't work.
Not on a
Got
main
it.
thing. Not
Mhm.
really.
That actually just happened this last time to one of our ladies. Her TV blew out and had a surge protector cord, one of those strip cords, and ruined her TV when the power came back on.
How long did it take to fully charge that mini generator you just showed us?
Okay, so for my computer, it took it like 45 minutes. And
So
it was
you
dead.
so you leave it plugged in the whole time?
Yeah, till your computer gets recharged. And you just plug it in, like you just use your adapter, you know, your regular computer adapter. I don't know where mine is right now. Oh yeah, right here.
I think she's asking like how long it takes to charge that station up.
Yes.
Oh, the
Hour.
station itself. Okay,
Yeah.
I plugged in it at night. I don't know when it fully charged because it just went off during the night,
Okay.
and then it was
So
charged.
once it's charged, it just shuts off.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's on this brick. This is called a brick. That's what they
Uh-huh.
call it. There is a red light that comes on when it's charging,
Mhm.
and when it's charged, it turns to green.
Okay.
Then you know it's done.
I know what I'm getting for Christmas.
I'm telling you. So I just took my computer plug-in and I just plugged it right here and plugged this into my computer. And I'm telling you, in 45 minutes, I had a computer back. Valuable to me. Thank you very
Yeah.
much, Gregory Lee. I appreciate it. You know, God's watching out for you. He cares
Mhm.
about
Yes.
you. Class tonight is incredibly important and valuable. And if we pay attention and not say, well, the next time there's a storm, then I will. No, you've waited too late. Deal now. Put it, even if you just deal with one thing a month, make yourself a list and come up with it. Especially you own a home, you're by yourself, and you tend to think, feel helpless in these types of situations. We don't have to feel that way when we have knowledge. Knowledge is power, right?
Right.
That's what the old statement says. So make yourself a
That's
list
right.
of necessary items and start paying attention to it. And let's get ready, right? Just in case. And may it never happen, but you'll have peace of mind that you've prepared all you can. My husband always used to say, do what you can, and God will do what you cannot. Let me pray for us, and then we're going to move forward. And I hope that you'll take heart from this lesson and take some instruction in your own life. Lord Jesus, please protect us and give us wisdom to take care of ourselves well. And give us favor from others to have a generous heart to help us in our time of need, should something happen we can't prepare for. But I thank you for wisdom, and I thank you, Lord, that you help us with God ideas, and you show us what to do, and that this class has brought us many answers and ways that we can prepare. I thank you, Lord, for a calm peace in any storm, and wise decisions that will come to us should we have to make some, and for the sense of your presence to go with us at all times. We thank you, Lord, that you help us to have an emergency checklist and that we will walk in divine peace and knowledge because we paid attention. In the name of Jesus, amen.
For more information, check out griefguideministries.com.